Hello, everybody. How are we doing today? If you're here, I want to say thank you. You could be anywhere in the world, but you're here with me, and I appreciate that. So, this is another video about five underseen, underappreciated, underrated, however you want to title it, movies. And like I always say, I don't like to make things are fairly simplistic, overly complicated. So we're not going to overtalk it. We're going to jump right into it. And my first movie here is the definition of a cult classic, and that is Wolf Cop. I have some reservations about seeing this movie. One, I said before, I'm not a huge fan of comedies. I don't absolutely hate them, but it's just not my primarily cup of tea. Just to give you a frame of reference, I haven't seen was it Tucker and Dale or Tuck and Dale? I don't know. But you know what I'm talking about, though. I haven't seen that or Shaun of the Dead. I'd have no desire to. Neither one particularly um, uh, are of my taste. So you can imagine when I saw this, I'm like, okay, this would be another stupid horror comedy. But while it is, there's also some really good moments in here. It's about a small local deputy, small town local deputy, small town deputy. Why did I say local? Well, obviously he's local if he's a deputy. Anyway, he goes like a tradition every so often in their town, like a festival, whatever. And he essentially goes and gets bitten and becomes a werewolf. And he's kind of a loser, a drunk, unreliable, just not that good of a guy. But I mean, just to see how he transforms and just the mayhem that happens, I'm telling you, it's so fun. And the humor isn't. It's more the humor very dark, and that's the type of humor that or comedy that I do watch. I do like the darker comedies. But Wolf Cop, man, it's a classic, a cult classic. It is so fun. There's a part two. I haven't seen it, but this one is worth seeing, worth buying. It's such a good movie. Like I said, it comes from somebody that isn't a huge fan of horror comedies. So just to see, and it's actually a cool twist at the end. Nothing original. Um, I mean, God, if you've seen even the most modest number of horror movies, or shit, if you watch Scooby Doo, you've seen this ending before. But I do think it's done fairly well, and I think it's actually kind of does have a cool little unique twist. Um, so Wolf Cop is definitely worth seeing. Um, so yeah, next one. I don't watch a lot of TV. I don't. I don't have the attention span for it. I just lose interest. But there's two shows I absolutely watched and adored. One kind of ran its course and it just naturally ended. Other one ended way too soon. And those two shows are Penny Dreadful and Game of Thrones. And two alumni from both of those shows are in this film, Honeymoon. If you can see, it's the wildling that always told, um, you know nothing, Jon Snow, and Victor Frankenstein from Penny Dreadful. And so, as the name is obviously hinting at. They go on the honeymoon. Nice little kind of cabin in the woods. And everything going well. It's by a lake. It's a scenic, beautiful place. And bless you. And um, one night, the the wife goes out. Bless you. And she disappears in the woods. So he goes out to look for her, finds her, and it looks like she'd been assaulted. It looks like she had been assaulted. So brings her back, and after this, she just starts acting weird and strange, and her mannerisms become manic, and she starts just acting and being weird and saying things and not being herself and misremembering things or forgetting things altogether. This a whole personality shifts, and it's not a subtle one. It's a rather drastic shift, and he's trying to figure out what's going on. She just can't remember. And when I say the ending of this movie is fucking wild and crazy and ambiguous, the ending of this movie, I was literally sitting there, and I still remember the first time I watched this. And when what happened happens, and I'm gonna say it involves a lake, I went like this. What the fuck? And you see something, and it kind of hints at what it might be, but still at least leaves it up enough to interpretation to where, excuse me, it could be that or it could be something else. But either way, this movie is amazing. The performances, of course, two um, amazing actors from two amazing shows that just dial it up to a 10. This is a phenomenal film. I wish it talked about more. I wish it was seen more. Deserves to be seen, appreciated. It's Honeymoon. If you're a fan of either one of those shows, Game of Thrones or Penny Dreadful, or if you're just a fan of this weird, creepy, kind of slightly ambiguous films where you're not quite dealing with a doppelganger, but you're wondering, is this really her? Or did she get switched? Like it leaves you guessing. Because like I said, everything about her changes. And you're just like, what, like something had to happen. But it's a phenomenal film. Really well done. Next one. Bad Milo. I'm a sucker for creature features. I love them. They're my favorite genre. I've said it before. When I was a kid, there's three things I loved: dinosaurs, aliens, and monsters. Anything with those things, any whatever book, movie, comic. Most of my comic collection was Spider-Man, Batman, but outside of that was Hulk, it was Blade, it was Ghost Rider. My comic collection was heavily the more horror-centric side of the DC and Marvel respected universes. So, I love monsters, and Bad Milo is an amazing monster kind of horror comedy, but at the same time, awesome, badass creature feature that has a surprising amount of heart. Like, this movie is moving in a way it has no business being. And essentially, now what I'm about to tell you is, I'm not telling you in jest. I'm not telling you this as a gag. This is truly the plot of the film. And if you don't believe me, you can look it up, or if you can read this real quick. I mean, you probably can't, but I just want you to know that what I'm about to tell you is true. I'm not making this up. This is a real film, was released, and this is the plot. A man who's on a lot of stress, kind of passive, not very dominant, finally reaches a breaking point, and a monster with whom lives in his intestinal tract comes out through his anal cavity, eats the subject of his stress, be it the boss, be it a coworker, be it a whatever, whoever. It's causing him the most stress at that particular moment. Eats that person, then proceeds, after they are finished, to go back up his anal cavity, back into his intestines, where he lives. And that's Bad Milo. And when I say this is one of those wild concepts, but it works. It works. And for a movie like that, you think it'd be gross and stupid. And in a way, it kind of is. But there's also a lot of heart to this film, surprisingly so. And it's such an absurd concept, it works. So Bad Milo is a movie I highly, highly recommend. You have to see it. You have to check it out. If you love creature features, if you love weird, quirky films, I mean, this doesn't get much. Leia, what's going on with you tonight? I know. My house is a little bit disarray right now. I have, I don't know if I can say this. I have a presence in my house. It's not malignant. It's benign. But sometimes it comes on heavier than other times. And tonight its presence have been more pronounced than other nights. And my dog Leia and my children are all kind of bothered by it. But that seldom happens. But when it does, it causes a stir. But you're not here for my personal problems. So that's Bad Milo. Next, Cat People. A remake of was it the 50s? I think it was the 50s. I might be wrong, but the original Cat People. So this involves a brother and sister who parents tragically passed, and they unfortunately passed. We learn by their own doing, and she went in foster care. They were separated, and eventually they kind of meet back up. She visits him. He lives in New Orleans. Yeah, New Orleans. Anyway, so she visits him to reconnect and everything, and from the get go, it's just weird. And slowly but surely, you see that his behavior is just off. And then we see what really happens is he turns into a cat. A leopard, black leopard to be exact. And this is something that she's has to deal with as well. And we learn that she's a virgin. This is very important. Because we find out later that they turn into a cat anytime they have intercourse. And the way to turn back into a human is to kill somebody. And we learn they come from an ancestral race We're the only people that they can mate with and procreate with without that happening to them turning into a cat and having to kill to revert back, is with each other, brother and sister. So he brought her there to mate with her because otherwise it's a cycle of turning a cat, killing someone, turning back, rinse, wash, and repeat. And she meets a zoo curator, and they start a relationship, and he becomes jealous because he's like, listen, you can go sleep with him if you want. I'm telling you what's going to happen. And this is an erotic thriller. This is a lot of sex, a lot of nudity, full frontal nudity. I mean, this is a very like I would almost not quite soft core, but not too far off. So not a movie to watch with the family, but it is a very good film. Malcolm McDowell is in there, and he gives an amazing performance. And the leading lady, Natasha Kinski. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. She's beautiful. I mean, she's a beautiful actress. She gives an amazing layered performance. This is a really good film. There's some other, noticeable faces in here. And surprisingly, this film is a Jerry Bruckheimer production, which for an erotic horror thriller, that doesn't seem like his normal area of, interest. But Ben Stiller produced The Ruin, so who the hell knows? So yeah, Cat People is a phenomenal film. 19 that'd be like the 90s, maybe the late 80s. Was it really 82? All right, so early 80s. Anyway, phenomenal film. Very much a underappreciated masterpiece. Um, Definitely worth a watch, and not just for the nudity, but I mean, it's actually a really good story. It's actually a really kind of tragic story, um, and worth a view. Finally, this is a movie you may not quite consider a straight up horror film, but I would argue it's eclectic. It's a mixture of several genres, horror being one of them, in equal parts, and that is The Guest. Um, and The Guest essentially is about a man who come back from the war, goes to his family of one of the guys he served with, and saying that hey, they were friends. He has nowhere to go, and he spoke so highly of them. His friend, unfortunately, passed in combat, and they let him in, and he becomes really only this guardian angel. He protects him. He takes care of them. Um, Sometimes in violent ways, but he means well. And but then slowly but surely, particularly the sister, because you have a teenage sister and like a little brother that's like maybe younger teens, preteen maybe. But the sister really kind of doubts him and starts to look into him and his past and starts to find out stuff about him. And as she digs and finds out stuff, he becomes increasingly unhinged, and those violent tendencies that he used to protect them is turned on them. And when I say the ending to this film is one of the best endings to any film, first of all, the soundtrack's amazing. The soundtrack is out of this world, but the ending in particular is amazing. And it all, like, the local high school has like this Halloween kind of like cool little haunted house that you go through, and the kids go there to hide from him, and he follows them, and the ambiance and the feeling of Halloween is all around, and going through that maze is so awesome and so beautiful. um like I said, the music is just, this is one of the best soundtracks I've ever heard. um yeah, I'm telling you, this is a phenomenal film. And I don't really typically like action films, kind of like comedies. It's not my thing at all. I don't like action movies. But the action doesn't really take place until the very end. And even then, it's not so much action as he's mostly just stalking these kids. There's some action, but um, as an eclectic film that's equal parts action, home, kind of a home invasion, but home invasion in the sense that they lie and give false information to the family, let the men and let the guard down. And then they slowly find out he's everything he said and told them wasn't all true. So home invasion, not so much enforcing his way, but manipulating his way into the home. Um, Kind of a slasher in some ways. Not exactly, but definitely it has, I would say, some slasher vibes. And I mean, it's just a hell of a movie. It's an amazing film. And this is Micah Monroe in one of her earlier roles. So before she did, I think this is before It Follows. I might be wrong. Definitely before, like, what's that movie that she went to? Was it? It wasn't called Watcher, was it? Where she went to the foreign country with her husband, and she thinks the guy in the adjacent building is a serial killer. Like she sees him at like the grocery store and stuff, and they think that she's, paranoid and losing her mind. Definitely before that. This is definitely before. What other big movie that she did? That's gonna now that's gonna eat up. Suffice it to say, this is Micah Moreau before a lot of her more well-known films, and this is a little independent film. It's so well done. It's so amazing, and I just can't sing this film praises high enough. I love this movie. I wish it was way more known than what it is, but for what it is, it's really well done. It's really effective, and um, when he lets when he takes off that mask and his true self comes out, is it Dan Stevens? I think the name is of the other guy, the main antagonist. He is frightening. Excuse me. I'm talking menacing. This completely obdurate, cold, void of any emotions, or just almost robotic. And yeah, this is a chilling performance by him. He plays it so well. But everyone in this film does just a great job. But yeah, so those are my five, you know, that I would say are worthy of your time. 5 horror movies that should be seen more, noticed more, talked about more. Amazing films. But in any case, thank you guys. Uh, Let me know if you've seen these movies, if you like them, or if you saw this, watch them if you did like them, or if you didn't like them. Love to hear from you guys either way. But anyway, thank you again. Be safe.